Hello everybody, thanks for jumping on this evening here. Wanted to do a real quick market walk down here. Didn't get a chance to do one this morning like I wanted to, unfortunately, just due to being busy, and was a bit removed from the markets today, so I kind of want to just sort of talk about where things have come since I was on live last, which was on Tuesday's London Open. So Tuesday was obviously this big down candle right here, and I was looking for price to return back into this area. It obviously did so and then some, and it came down and actually swept underneath this low right here. So I don't imagine you can see that low right there was taken out and really quickly went the other way as soon as it got down there. In my opinion, that's enough for me. I don't believe they're going to go back down into that range. I think as long as this candle right here, as long as the low on that candle doesn't get taken out, I can't imagine that they're going to come all the way back down and run this low. So I think we're probably going to see higher prices going forward. Had almost relatively equal highs up here. Price on last Friday came up and just grabbed the high from the Thursday previous high, which was the all-new high above that one there, and had since come off of that high quite aggressively. And again, I was looking for price. I wanted to see price close above this level right in here. I mentioned that if price were to close below this candle in here and below these lows here, more than likely that was going to be the high of the month, and we're probably going to see price fall off from there. And we did come down, obviously, but we cleared it quickly, ran the stops, just grabbing some liquidity, and it looks like we've since rejected quite strongly. And actually, this high here came in at, the close came in at 97.57, and the the open on this candle came in at 97.56. So it actually got 1 pip higher than that, the close of that, the open of that candle. So I'm looking for this to continue to push higher. Now we may come back down and retouch off of Wednesday's low. This obviously was FOMC rate in here that did all of this push down. At one point, this was one big bearish, bold black candle, and with FOMC, it quickly rejected. So FOMC definitely did not disappoint. Saw a bit of a carnival ride and really pushed down quite deep for liquidity. And again, we saw some nice rejection. So I'm hoping going into Friday now, we are going to NFPs tomorrow. So I would assume, I don't believe NFP is going to be a huge run like we saw in FOMC. We could get some erratic price action and pretty much could get a sideways day. But I believe we'll probably see this level back here get retraded back down to filling in this area, and then I think we'll see price run higher. So it'll look something, I believe, similar to this here, and we'll see a run higher. Now, I don't think Friday's candle, I don't believe we're going to get all the way up above here or anywhere near it for that matter. But I think we will finish on a bold up candle, and whether it gets, how high it gets, I don't know, but I don't think it's going to be a stellar day or anything. A lot of volatility, a lot of price action in the markets this week, and I think it's going to set up next week being a great week. So next week, I believe I'd be looking for price to run up higher than these highs into here, and then again, we do have some areas back in time here. So I think this 98.35 level is going to get run. And let me just clean some of this up here. Right here. 98.35 on the upside is where I'm looking for them to run price. And so this is the old high in here from last week, of course. And I'm on a weekly chart now. And so I believe, again, there's that 98.35 level right there, which brings us back up to this old consolidation range right in here. And I think that's going to, and that may not be the end of it. I mean, there is another area right up here. I'm going to grab this. And I believe if we get some real momentum behind the U.S. dollar, and they really want to push this higher, we could even see 99.80 on the upside. So definitely very possible. We're starting to get up into these, this big reversal pattern up in here. If we take a quick fib off of these levels here, we're coming in, again, that sort of 72 to 79% retracement level is up in this area. I'm not saying it's going to go all the way up and then come all the way back down by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly I think these areas will act, whether it be this area in here, 98.35, or this area up here, 99.80, I think will act as a bit of resistance, and we could see price come down a little bit and retrade lower. Now, if you look at this, on the weekly, you can see we've got some equal lows right here, here, and here, equal lows underneath there. And ever since this low right here, they haven't come back to run stops, other than this one down candle right here, which took out this price action here, but quickly rejected and ran to the upside. So we've got several levels on the downside where price could easily target, and you can pick those off fairly cleanly. And on the upside, again, we've got area 1 and area 2 up here. So if area 1 starts to offer some resistance, we could see price fall off and do a deep retracement. If not, then we'll definitely see area number 2, which being the 99.80, and potentially even higher. We could easily pop up into the 100 level as well. So I'm definitely not discounting that. But obviously we've got a long ways to go to get up to there, and we are starting to come into the summer months. Keep that in mind. May, June, we got 2 full months before the summer sort of lull comes in, and so lots of time to trade, lots of time for opportunity. And I think this week here it really tipped us off. This big down move here, I think we're going to see a big power move going forward the next couple of weeks and should see higher prices. So with that being said, I got a limit order in here. Actually, I forgot to delete this. Hey, look at this limit order. I put this in on when price was up here. I didn't get this high up in here. This was on FOMC. I wasn't trading FOMC, but I saw price run up into here, and then it came back down on Thursday and was just kind of sitting in here chopping sideways. And I was looking at price going into London Open. I said, you know what? A great spot to get short would be right here at it was 120 to 112.20 was the level right in here. And I wasn't risking anything. Obviously, this is a demo account, of course. But you can see price came up just 2 pips, I think. Yeah, high came in at 112.18, so just missed my entry by 2 pips. And hit the target perfectly, though. So the trade would have worked out brilliantly, but obviously it didn't get my entry. So we're going to delete that now, and away we go. So anyways, looking at the euro, going out to a daily. Again, clean up the chart here a little bit. We can see, obviously, clear downtrend still. Nothing's changed there. As the US dollar was retracing back up into here, we saw price on the euro do the same thing. Filled in an obvious area and hit a very clear level of resistance to the upside. And I'm going to zoom in one more here. And you can see here, let me take off this day divider. This is FOMC. So you can see in here, we had these candles coming banging in here, and then all of a sudden FOMC really made that big, quick, steep run. Exactly the same as what the US dollar did right here. Cleared those lows, and guess what the euro did? Cleared those highs. Worked absolutely perfect, and price obviously ran quite heavy to the downside from there. That was a 80 pip, just about an 80 pip day on Wednesday. And since then, we've had just a little over 90 pips to the downside since. So very similar to what I'm looking into tomorrow for the US dollar. A slight run lower and then a higher push on the US dollar. I'm expecting the exact opposite on Euro USD, of course. So I'd like to see price, if we can, get down into this area down in here. Personally, I'd like to see that. There's a couple of areas right under here. We have a little bit of gap in price that I think they could want to reach down to. And now, again, I'm not trading NFP tomorrow or anything like that. And it's not a big range. We're only looking about 40, maybe 50 pips on the downside. But I do think they will continue that. And again, what my line in the sand would be, like if we start taking out this high here from Thursday, you know, and getting above this 112.25 level, I guess, or 112.30 level, I guess you could call it, then I'm going to be thinking that maybe they want to continue to push the upside. We do have some equal highs up in here. And of course, we didn't even try to make an attempt up to this range. If you take a fib on this one here from that level high, we only got up to about that 50% level on this swing, and so fairly shallow retracement, and then another continuation to the downside. Whereas this swing here, if you took a fib, you can clearly see price was a little bit more aggressive, coming right up to that 79% retracement level, and cleaned price up very, very nicely. To be honest with you, had you gone short and put a stop or a short right up into here, that would have been a nice run down. But I wasn't trading FOMC. Hopefully none of you guys were either. And hopefully you're actually just sitting on the sidelines. Monday and Tuesdays were the day to trade this week. That's all I did. And minus that one limit entry from yesterday that I was testing out on this day's range that didn't get up there. But it doesn't really matter. And that's it. I'm looking for lower prices, and again, it's very similar to the downside objective as to the upside objective on US dollar. We've got 110. I'll make it 110.20 to make things even. That's where I believe price is heading to. And again, similar idea. If we do get a real strong push higher on the dollar, then obviously we could see a real strong push lower. We've got a bit of a gap in price rate in here. And so there is a good chance that if we do see aggressive bullish nature on the US dollar, we could see price push down into here on the Euro USD. So that'd be a nice run. I mean, we're at 112 right now, and so a run down to 107, you know, that's 500 pips to the downside. So not too bad. We could easily do that into May and into June, and that's what I'm looking for. And again, the market sort of tipped their hand. Let me just clean this up a little bit so you guys can see this a little bit better. But you can see here, as they're, and really ugly price action in here. I mean, this stuff in here isn't great trading, but you can see they finally decided to really break out of this range last week here, and then they went and retested it once this week and rejected, and I think we're going to see price lower. So that was sort of the tip-off, I believe, right here. And we broke clear of it, retested, and now I think we're going to see lower prices going forward. So we can obviously look to sell short pretty much any run higher. I mean, as long as, like I say, as long as price isn't coming above, I had that line up there and I took it off, but as long as price doesn't come above 112.30, I'm going to remain bearish on the Euro USD. And you can see they just got that high by just a couple of pips right there. So nice move to the upside that was quickly rejected, and that to me is a telltale sign. So again, we can look for shorts going into next week. Now I think I would imagine tomorrow, again, more of the same. We'll probably see price come up into this range in here. What is that? 111.80, you know, maybe 111.85 to the upside, and that'd be looking for price to push lower. We'll be getting underneath this low tomorrow. I don't think that's necessarily in the cards. I could certainly be wrong, and I'd welcome a push lower. That would be fine. I would hope, though, that that would happen next week, because I think it could offer us a real good setup going into next week if it were to leave this low. But certainly NFP will push price around a little bit, and NFP is obviously not for professionals, and so we'll just sort of wait until price to calm down and pick our entries surgically and our exits skillfully. Pound dollar. Pound dollar really made a big push off of that upside, off of this downside target. And again, if you had been following any of my live sessions, I would have been talking. You would have heard me talk about this area in here quite extensively, and price absolutely followed the perfect script off the 128.90 level. Huge rejection and a big push up, and we're talking 150, 180 pips if you consider this wick up in here to the upside. Great range higher. I'm going to take the day divider off here so you can see this high on the wick. And just a beautiful reaction. So I was waiting for that price to come down there for quite a while. It did that last week, and then a big push off come Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday. This was the FOMC event. Didn't really do a whole bunch. More so Tuesday was the big day. I'm sorry, this was Wednesday. This was Tuesday was the big day up. My apologies. This big green candle, that was Tuesday, And that one day, that candle range, I mean, that was a 110 pip candle. So nice to see some big volume on cable and a nice big rejection off of here. And then again, Wednesday FOMC, and then Thursday was sort of a down day. Now cable, I don't know what's going to happen with cable. That was a pretty solid rejection off of that level there. It could sit in here and kind of work sideways a little bit more. And if you look at that and you look where it's gone back up to, a lot of consolidation, a lot of time spent in this area right in here with price going back and forth. We could certainly see more of the same. If the Euro USD wants to fall lower and the US dollar wants to run higher, it's naturally suited that the cable would also follow suit to the downside. However, I think there's a lot of buying pressure on the cable, and I believe they're going to keep price above up into this range here. We could bank in here and in here for a while, but I think they're probably going to keep price stable above 128.90. That's my opinion. I could certainly be wrong. Obviously, if this price comes in here and goes lower than that, then obviously we can target this low in here and potentially these subsequent lows there. But I think they've come down as low as they're going to come down on the cable. I believe we're probably going to see higher prices. You know, they had a chance to run down into here, and they really didn't do a whole lot. And so there's a lot of areas above price rate in here where I think they could stretch up to, and I'd like to see them do that. But it's going to make it pretty tough if the dollar is very strong. So as long as that dollar is making new highs, it's going to make it tough for the cable to make any ground above this. Now, again, I could be wrong, and it's all going to be a manipulation. What's the Euro GBP doing? If we see Euro GBP falling short and trying to run for these lows, that's going to give strength to the pound dollar. And vice versa. Obviously, if we see price running higher, it's going to give strength to the Euro USD. So I would imagine that they're going to be manipulating the Euro USD, and only because Euro USD has been in this tight consolidation for so long, whereas the cable, they've had more of a chance to run this as of late, where it's been a little bit tighter. But again, you know, time will tell. So if we struggle to get above this block of price action in here, and you can see all these wicks, all this real tight trading range in here, this could be a breakout, retest, and then a retrade back lower. Certainly could happen. And again, I'm going to hold back all of my trades on cable because I want to see what it's going to do long term. If we see any weakness on the US dollar, I'll be all over this thing on a long. But until that US dollar gets stronger, I'm going to hold off on this and focus my attention to euro. USD CAD. We've got some targets on the upside. 135.65, I believe, is going to be the target, and we will probably see this early next week if we don't see it this week. I'm actually a little bit surprised we didn't see a run higher than these highs going into FOMC, but you can see what this week has done. A big, deep retracement right back down into the old highs back in this range here, and a big, strong, solid rejection off of those highs. So great to see. Very obvious price action. Again, I haven't been trading anything this week. I've been sitting on the sidelines. Price is a little too volatile with FOMC. You definitely don't want to be trading while price is ripping, you know, in one way or another. And this was FOMC right in here. You can see that candle there. It was 70 pips, you know, 40 down, 30 up, and away it went. So what I'd like to see, hopefully non-farm will take this back down, and potentially we could see this bank off of the 134.30 level that we got right this blue line here. But I am expecting higher prices. Again, we've got some relative equal highs in here that we could see them shoot up to, and ultimately, though, I think this could be the target on the week. Now, you look at that, I mean, we're only 50 pips away. The US CAD can easily do 50 pips. If we go down to a daily, you can see here, a pretty tight range day on Thursday, which is indicative after big range days. But you can see, obviously, the Wednesday, like I was saying before, about an 85 pip day to the upside total range on that. So I think it's very easy for them to get higher on this. I'd like to see them come back down, drop in a little bit, and then push higher. Hopefully clear this high here and ultimately this guy here. So that's what I'm looking to set up on the US CAD. But again, NFP tomorrow. I'll wait until next week to trade anything on this guy as well. And it'll offer much, much better setups. But I think, again, we are going higher. And I do believe this level here for sure is going to get run out. And I think that'll happen early next week. And ultimately, if we get some real strength to the upside on the US dollar, it'll pull the US CAD along with it. We should see this run up into here. Now, that being said, I just want to bring up the news, and I am mistaken. I thought I saw US CAD news on Friday. I don't. That must have been another day that I was looking at. You can see we have the news going into tomorrow. We have some pound sterling services PMI. We have some euro CPI flash. You know, again, medium impact, so it's not going to be injecting a ton of volatility into the euro or the cable. And this stuff here, though, this is the 8:30 a.m. New York time, and then 10 a.m. New York time. Obviously, we've got hourly earnings, we've got non-farm, we've got unemployment rate. So that's going to jog price a little bit. And then ISM obviously coming in at 10 o'clock. And then a whole bunch of FOM speakers to finish off the day. So you can kind of tell what sort of day tomorrow is going to be like, going to be shaping up, and it's going to be probably fairly volatile and full of news, and it's something that you definitely don't want to be trading. Not high probability setups. Going into next week, though, we've got lots of Australian dollar news. We've got finishing off Monday and starting on Tuesday early cash rate and RBA rate statement. Monetary policy statements, you don't want to be trading those for the Australian dollar. So we're going to finally see what it's actually going to do. Hopefully it's going to break out of that tight range it's been in. I'll talk about that here in a second. But this should do something for that price. And I'm thinking more to the downside. Euro USD and Canadian dollar. Some medium impact news events to finish off Tuesday. And then again going into Wednesday, we've got another holiday. And then here was all that Canadian dollar trade balance and everything else going to next Thursday. So definitely next week is going to be a little bit more advantageous for trading. I'm going to save all of my stuff until then. And again, I'm looking for higher prices on Canadian dollar, looking for lower prices on euro, looking for higher prices on US dollar. All the above. And then UJ here is, I don't know if you guys are fans of US yen. Really hasn't been doing a whole lot, as you can see. As the US dollar is pushing higher, this pair should really be moving forward as well. We had that one candle on Wednesday right in here. Big doji on the day, come ripping back down, and so far it's rejected. But Thursday was a pretty weak candle. So we're going to have to see what's going to happen here. I'm anticipating them running this high here and subsequently getting up into here. We have several highs in here that have never been rated, and I think those are going to be on the chopping block next here if we get that strength on the dollar. So I'm looking for them to not want to have to, that was a bad English, I'm looking for them to not come under this low here from FOMC on Wednesday. I think that should be sort of the low on the week, and if price is going to fall in line with what the dollar's doing, we should see them push this higher, and this was the low. So we'll see what they want to do. Again, similar to the pound, I'd like to hold off on US yen on any potential trades until it starts to get some clearer direction. Australian dollar, this was what I was talking about here. So Australian dollar has been in this big tight range, and then they finally started to really fall off 2 weeks ago into here, and then came back up, bumped into this previous consolidation range right there, right back in there. So it's sort of a breakout retest, and it looks like we're going down and going to continue further to the downside again. So lots of targets higher though on Aussie. So whenever price decides to bottom out or top out on the US dollar, there's going to be lots of areas to pick from on Australian dollar for targets. So that's just going to be obviously a wait and see how that plays out. But it's nice to see that they're finally making some decent size ranges. Now again, these aren't huge ranges. You know, from this slide to this, or this high to that low, it's about 200 pips, and it took about 2 weeks to get down there. But still a great range if you were to trade that. And I'm not expecting them to come running up into here anytime soon. I think we'll probably see them run this lower the rest of this week and into next week for sure. So that's Australian dollar. And that is about it. Crude oil. I'll talk about crude oil real quick. Whole lot of mess on this chart. I apologize. Let me clean this up here for you guys. Just some analysis from the previous live session. So let me just clean some of this up here. And here, you know what? Let's do this the easy way. So as I was saying, with crude oil, we obviously came into a major area of resistance right up in here. There's several other areas and pockets of price where price will continue to run higher once we start getting some bullish news on crude oil. Crude oil is heavily manipulated, and we just saw another one here. So, I mean, literally, there's some major OPEC producers and other countries that have their production are offline. I'm talking, you know, Venezuela. There's sanctions on Iran. There's issues with some of the oil platforms. I mean, there's just so much stuff right now. And then all of a sudden, this IEA report comes out on, I believe it was Tuesday, saying, early Wednesday trading, saying that, oh, lo and behold, there's all of a sudden all of the storage capacity that they found that's skewing off the numbers, and now it's dropping price. It's all BS. Don't ever believe that news is going to drive the price of oil. It's all predetermined. They know exactly what they're doing before it happens, and news is just an excuse as to why they're sinking price to get lower prices so they can buy the price up here so they can just run it higher. That's all it is with oil, guys. It's nothing new. Very geopolitically moving for sure, and again, they use any excuse they can to justify why you see the runs. But the latest run lower was an inventory, a storage inventory oversupply, and that's why we saw this massive $2.5 drop, 63.60 all the way down to 60.95. So yeah, what is that? $2.5, just a little over $2.5 drop, $2.70 drop on Thursday. Pretty incredible down day on crude oil. Now, I had said I was looking for lower prices, and I wanted to see that they basically, if you look at the story going in here and this whole big run up here, we've had price come down, create an obvious low, reversed, and never came back once. I mean, it put a consolidation in here, expanded out of there, consolidation here, came down once, retested these levels in here, and then expanded off again, never came back since. Consolidated in here, left a whole bunch of areas under here that are ripe with stops, expanded up again higher, same thing here, expanded up higher, same thing here, expanded up higher, hit the area that I was talking about in perfect unison, and collapsed once. Took 1, 2, 3 days down, scooped up all the lows under here, and this one I was looking at as I wanted to wait and see what they wanted to do. We got a short trade in here last week. I wanted to wait and see if they wanted to push lower than here, and obviously you can see that was done in relative fashion on Thursday with a big dramatic down candle. I'm sorry, Thursday. Yeah, trading on Thursday right there. Now, I think we could go lower. There is definitely some levels under. I'd like them to come back right back down, and they actually just failed to touch off of that high there. I'd like them to come down one more time if we can. I don't really want to see them go lower than this low. If they do, however, you can obviously see under here, again, relatively equal lows that we're looking at. To the downside. So certainly they could push lower. They didn't really come back down and do a stop run in this consolidation, so certainly a possibility. But like I say, definitely they're going to run under this guy here. They got that, and then they ran under here. So now I want to see what they want to do. I want to wait for this thing to reverse before we try to pick any lows, especially on oil, because you can get hurt in a big hurry trading this guy here. And so definitely lots of stops under there, and they could potentially run back down. Now that's pretty deep. I mean, that would be back down if it recapitalized off of these old highs in here. That's obviously back down to 57. So quite a ways from here, from current location, but certainly don't discount that, especially with crude oil. I mean, they can jam this price all over the place if they want to, and you got to be careful on it. But so for now, I'm not going to stay, sorry, long term I'm bullish on crude oil. Short term, I am going to stay on the sidelines to sort of intermediate short term bearish until I see what they want to do. I certainly think they're going to come back down and retouch these lows in here, and I want to see what happens when it gets down to there. So what would negate that? Obviously, if we start trading back above, like if we start coming and coming up into here, and these candles aren't offering any resistance at all, then that's the downside right there. And then we can pick a target up here and look for these highs to get ran out, and then obviously target the 68.50 level on the upside. But I do believe we're going to see a little more downside before we see up, and I want to see where that is. So like I say, do they stop here at 60? Do they run one more time down to the 58 level? You know, again, that's what I want to wait and see. So that's about it on crude oil. Pretty simple. And again, I mean, you know, if you look at this, I mean, it was due for a big, deep retracement. I'm surprised it hasn't done it sooner, to be quite honest with you. From this last run up to the low, again, you can see there's 72% retracement level, almost perfectly hit on Thursday's trading right there. So that 79% retracement level goes right down to that 68.60 level, just a little bit below it. So there could be some potential room to the downside still for this thing to go. So I'm just going to go in on an hourly and look at this. Yeah, so as you can see right in here, they could certainly dump price back down to. I'd like to see them, if they are going to do that, they may just make a run for it right now, certainly. I'd like to see them come up a little bit first if they can. You see this low right here on this guy here. I'd like to see if they couldn't retrace back up to that and then potentially peter out and we see them sink price. That would be nice. I'd really like to see that. Great precision trading in here, though. You can see price ran right up into the lows in this guy here and rejected very, very strongly. So I don't know if you guys are trading crude oil this week or not, but if you got that, that would have been the Tuesday high of the week, and obviously Wednesday went nowhere, and then Thursday fell off the map. So looking for continued downside going into Friday. That's about it. Just like I say, wanted to jump on, do a real quick review. I believe, just really quick here, somebody had mentioned sugar in the chat room today. Yeah, this is something I was looking at here. Sugar, we have a big gap right here, and then a huge, look at this retrace, look at this price movement here. So we have from this low to this high, and you can see price came down to 62% retracement level to the pip, or tick, I should say. We're in commodities now, and just a big, strong rejection. Price skipping over areas right in here in this 1-2 day up candle pattern. Left a big gap in price right now, right there, and they came up one time, big failure swing, and have since just been chopping sideways. And big obvious target on the chart there. I think there's a good chance they're going to sink this down. Whether it gets there tomorrow, I don't know. But this candle right here, let me take the day dividers off. This candle right there on Wednesday, that was the tip off. They tried to run it up and failed to get any higher. Ran right back into this 4 candle consolidation level right in there. Big strong rejection, and then Thursday put in a deep lower candle. Just ran below this low right there. As you can see, that just got it right there. And then they tried to push it up here, going where Friday's open now, and so far has rejected. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw price come all the way back down and fill this gap in here. And then from there, I don't know. Do we make a run for this low and potentially try to rebalance down here? Or is that it for the downside, and we're going to see price catapult higher and see price wanting to surge and trying to get above this high, and ultimately, this is my area here that I'm looking at on sugar. Is it going to get there in a month? Probably not. Is it going to get there by the end of the year? Yeah, there is a chance. There's definitely lots of time left. So I'd like to see that nice big pop off of here, and we were watching this. We all took part in this. This was discussed middle of last year in detail. So we were all looking in this area right in here. And so far, unfortunately, price has been fairly stagnant. You know, from about this point on, since about the end of November, thus far, it's been fairly stagnant, and I really haven't been watching this market at all. I was actually tipped off to this again here by someone in our chat room today, and they said keep an eye on sugar because it looks like the low is going to get run, and sure enough, low just got ran on Thursday there. So again, looking for lower downside to continue on sugar, and where we go from there, we'll have to wait and see. If they get down all the way back down to here, you know, that could certainly be a level to watch for. That 79% retracement level lines up right in there as well too. Could certainly be on the menu, but we'll have to wait and see with this one here. So, and that was about it. I didn't really see anything else that caught my eye. I did mention something on. Look at that. They still failed to get these lows. This one here is driving me crazy. This one here. So this is the pound yen. If you can't see it in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen, the pound yen has been creating all of the, look, low, 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 and have rejected every single time. You know how many stops are built up under here and how many orders are sitting there? Everyone's going long on this pair saying, nah, I'm getting long, and this is going to be my line in the sand. They're just begging for this thing to come down here and stop everybody out. Ah, man, I can't wait. I kind of want to put an order in just to, and let it just sit there and wait for higher prices. But again, with with pound dollar, just kind of walking sideways right now. I'm going to be a little bit hesitant, but it was just something that I saw. You can see in here they're doing the exact same thing until the end of last week, where they ran those lows and cleared out all the areas in here. And again, we've yet to do that on pound yen, and a big rejection on this would have been on Tuesday. We had a big push up higher. That was Wednesday, FOMC for the U.S. wasn't affected at all, and basically just been doing nothing for the past couple of days. And actually, I highlighted this area here as well. So I did an analysis on Tuesday, and I first brought you guys the this analysis here and mentioned this to you. And I highlighted this area right in here as a potential downward target, upward target. Look what they did on Thursday. They got that area just perfectly. Came up about a pip or two higher than I think the low of that candle. 145.82 and a high 145.86. They got it by 3.5 pips. So anyway, that was when price was pretty much down in here on Tuesday. Yeah, that was Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday's candle. Price was down here when I was doing London Open live discussion in here, and so you can see that that price range got filled in nicely. So hope they go down. I hope they fall off from here. Hope they reject. Hope they come over and swing under this and get all these lows in here. If you got to run down on that, you know, you'd be looking at about a 220 plus pip target on the pound yen. What would negate that? Obviously, if we start running higher than this level up in here, like if price starts running up into here, I don't believe they're going to come in time. They're not going to come down here anytime soon. They're probably going to run for this high and then this high here. And then we'll have to see what they do when they get back up into this range in here. But as long as this high stays intact and they don't try to run for this one again, we do still have a chance for them to push this thing back down south. So you have a pretty tight margin of error there, I guess. You wouldn't really have to risk too much. I mean, you could just do it for shits and giggles. 145.86 to the upside. That'd be my line in the sand. I'd wait for them to see if they want to come up a little bit higher. But certainly that would be my line in the sand. I'd put a stop, hard stop right there. If they want to go any higher than that, not interested. But if they want to seek anything to the downside, I'd look to take advantage of that. So I'm not a big pound yen trader or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. I haven't placed a trade on pound yen for quite some time. I haven't done one this year. Actually, I did a couple last year, but that was just something that had caught my eye because it usually falls in lockstep sync with the pound dollar, and you can obviously see the clear manipulation here, and the pound yen clearly didn't get that there. So that's the only reason I bring it up. So that's what we've got on the menu here for this NFP Friday and going into next week. I hope you guys found that information valuable. You got something out of that. take it easy tomorrow. You don't need to trade. It's Friday. Take a nice long weekend. It's NFP. Nobody trades NFP anyway, unless you're highly unprofitable. Then feel free, go ahead and trade it. All the professionals wait until NFP, FOMC, and all the big news events are out of the way, and they trade fluid price action. So you should do the same thing too. Just saying, do what you want to do, but don't say I didn't warn you. Anyway, that's it for me. I appreciate you coming in and checking us out. And just so you know, if you're not a member, you can check us out at f45trading.com down here on the right-hand side, or go ahead and click the bottom icon there and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Every now and then, I'll kick out a free live video like this one, but for all of our premium content, obviously, we do daily live analysis for all of our members. You got to come in and check us out to get all access to all of that stuff. So appreciate your time and hope to see you guys again. Take care.